it to the apostles. And the apostles didn't even own it. This is something I like to tell people. I said, these are, people that operate in the apostolic and they operate in the management of a lot of big stuff and they want to be impressive. That's not the spirit of Peter and James and John. Because when they went to the gate beautiful and they told that man they said, silver and gold we do not possess. They didn't have any money, but they did, because all the people brought their land, and the sale of their land, they laid it at their feet. They laid it at their feet. But they didn't possess that money. That money belonged to God, and it belonged to the people of God to do whatever it was supposed to do to further the kingdom of God. That's the idea. And it's got to be restored. And it will be restored by this refining fire that's coming. Because when the Lord comes down, look what he does. He saw the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, indeed, the people are one, and they have all one language. And this is what they began to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. I want you to know something. Man has power. Just because you have money is not a sign that God is with you. And just because you have a big building, an impressive building, that everybody says, wow, that's really great, or a lot of people in your church, does not mean that God is with you. Man has power. And until God comes down and deals with you and busts you up, you don't really know where God is. That's true of my life. I think if you go out there and you poll people who've had a lot and then lost it all, that after they lose it all, they feel like they found God because they got lost in who they were. They thought they were something. They thought they had control of their life. They managed their time and their money with their own will. And that's what was going on in Shinar. He says nothing they propose to do will be withheld from them because God gave that to man. The power, the image-bearing side, God image-bearing side of man has power. Man has lots of power, and we're going to see that power on display in the future. Come, he says in verse 7, let us, the Trinity, this is another reference to the Trinity, which goes back to Genesis 1:26, when God said, let us make man in our image. Here he says, come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. How does God do that? How does the Father, the Son, the Word has not become flesh yet, the Word and the Spirit do that? And does he still do it today? Does he create discord? Does he allow things to fall apart? Does he allow people not to understand what you're saying and cause them to leave? Does God teach you things by this? This is the Lord's way. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth. Here, the word scattered is used again, not filled, because of disobedience, and it was almost like a foreshadowing by the dwellers of Shinar to say, we do not want to be scattered. It was like they knew the mandate, and they knew that if they didn't obey the mandate, that they would be scattered. So, indeed, the Lord scatters them abroad from there over the whole face of the earth, and they cease to build the city. Like I said, there's an effort right now to rebuild. And the EU in Paris, I don't know if it's in Paris, but Rome and Paris are going to be intimately involved in this. And he says, from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. And that is the genesis of Babel and Babylon. Babylon, son of Baal. And this is referred to in the prophets. Now, overview. On that was raised up by God. Nebuchadnezzar was given a dream. And in that dream he saw an image with a gold head. With counsel and wisdom, Daniel answered Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise man of Babylon. And he answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree from the king so urgent? Then Arioch made the decision known to Daniel. So Daniel went in and asked the king to give him time, that he might tell the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made it known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they may might seek mercies from the God of heaven concerning the secret. Do you realize that everything that we're talking about, Day of the Lord, Mystery of Babylon, Mystery of the Lost One, everything I've been referring to is a secret. And we are to understand it only in the Spirit. This is proof of it right here. That prayer brought the revelation. Prayer, fasting, seeking the Lord, the God of heaven, His mercy is what granted unto Daniel the interpretation. Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in a night vision. So Daniel blessed the God of heaven. And Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are His. Always. Wisdom and might belong to God, not man. We got a dose, but we don't have all wisdom and all might, all power. And He changes the times and the seasons. Who changes the times and seasons? God. He removes kings and raises up kings. He puts Bush in, then He puts Obama in. He put the father Bush in, then He put Clinton in. He put the son Bush in. These are things that God does. He put Saddam Hussein in, then He took Saddam Hussein out. He put Idi Amin in, and He took him out. He put Tony Blair in, and now He's got a new guy in. God is bringing him in, and He's bringing him out. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and secret things. This is God. Only God can do that. He knows what is in the darkness. And light dwells with God. Light, real light, true light is only found in God. When the angel of light, Satan, comes, it's false light. False light. I thank You and praise You, O God of my fathers, that You have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we asked of You. If you ask of the Lord what's really going on, and you go to this Bible with a fresh attitude and with a seeking heart, humble, broken, God, please show me Your truth. Show it to me so that I may be able to discern the times, to understand the seasons, to cooperate with Your heavenly will. God will give it to you. He will give it to you. I am telling you today, He will give it to you. Therefore Daniel went to Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon. He went and said thus to him, Do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me before the king, and I will tell the king the interpretation. Then Arioch quickly brought Daniel before the king and said thus to him, I have found a man of the captives of Judah. Okay. How did Nebuchadnezzar come into power? God raised him up to come against Israel and the fact that she was disobedient to the Mosaic covenant. She broke the law of God. And God's patience wore out. And somewhere around 586 BC, she was broken into. And it started in 605, and then over the course of years, eventually Babylon destroyed Israel, Jerusalem, Judah, and carried away just a few. And Daniel, as a young man with his friends, these young Jewish, brilliantly trained young men, the king desired to have them in his court. And so they were then installed in the court of the king of Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar's court. So here we go. You understand, Babylon was used because it wants to kill the anointed. God wants to bring idolatry into Israel. It wants to confuse true, pure worship. It wants to make God's law hard and hateful, and it wants to introduce other gods. And it has a level of power. So much so that the very temple that God had given to Solomon to build, he allows it to be destroyed. There's nothing we have in America, in the church, that's as sacred as the temple was to the Jews, yet God destroyed it. So what makes us think God can't destroy some denominational structure, bring it down to its knees, and flatten it? And if he does so, he does it for good, not for evil. God never flattens something. We're going to read this later in Zechariah, yet to restore it. God has a plan of restoration. With the flood, it was to restore, to cleanse it with the water, to wash it all clean again, get rid of all the sin, which was in man, not in the animals, but in man was sin, and God kills it all, and he starts with Noah afresh, but it doesn't take long.